Hello and welcome to Clamp, the creating, living, and making podcast. I'm your host, Grant Alexander, and joining me this week is Maker Mackie.
Hello.
And Yellrom Blog. Morley Kurt.
Hello.
How's it going, Morley? What's in your clamps this week?
Well, this week, I miscalculated what I would be coming out with next. I know I mentioned that 10 filmmaking tips for makers video that still in the works, but another project that has been going on in the background is our friend Vincent Ferrari sent me a message a couple weeks ago saying like, hey, Dan Roto from the Danocracy is looking for a carpenter in the Greater Toronto area. He posted a story about it, so you should text him. And I did. And he was looking for someone to make him some rug tufting frames, which is something he wanted to get into. So luckily not luckily, because Vincent told him I would be texting him. So shout out to Connections and Vincent in particular. So we had a back and forth, figured out it was a good fit. And so it was a pretty quick project. It's something I've just kind of been working on for the last week and a half or so. And nice. So I've been building them in the garage. He wanted 2 frames. He wanted one that was, well, the first one he texted about was a 6 foot by 6 foot frame, which is just as big as it sounds, freestanding frame to make some pretty huge rugs. And then later on, he was like,
six foot rugs.
Yes. Yeah.
No,
I get it.
Some pretty big rugs, like 6 foot by 6 foot.
Yeah, exactly that big, 36 square feet. And so then eventually he was like, well, I don't know if I'm always going to be making rugs that huge. So can you make me like a 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot one as well? So it ended up being 2 frames, and they're relatively straightforward. And yeah, I was able to build the 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot completely at my apartment. It just fit into my car. Like I had to squeeze it into the back.
Oh, wow.
Just coincidentally, I built the whole thing. I was like, I hope this fits. And then it did. And then I, prepped all the pieces for the larger one. I built the small one first, so I had a sense of the construction, and then I could just scale it up. And I prepped all the pieces for the small one. Luckily, making it had a very helpful Q&A on their episode this week when they were talking about like things to bring on an install. And so Jimmy was talking about like, oh, got to bring like, everything you think you might even have a chance of needing. So I felt very prepared for that. And yeah, he's a super nice guy. Met him at his new studio, and we banged out the install. He has a very cute little dog named Charlie, which I got to hang out with as well. And he started a rug, which was really cool when he was there. Well, I think today, as of this day of recording, he posted the rug he was working on, which is like the cartoon version of Blink-182, if I have that right. It's more of your guys' time than my time. Although I have listened to some Blink.
I have a question.
Go on.
How did you, because I haven't seen it yet, how have you ensured that there wasn't any flex in a 6 foot long? I assume you made it out of like dimensional lumber.
Yeah, everything was 2x4s.
2x4. So was there any kind of cross bracing to make it so that a 6 foot by 6 foot frame wasn't going to bend in the middle?
So
across the span?
Yeah, it's a good question. So for a 2x4, which is relatively thick, it doesn't seem to be that huge of a span. So what I did, I actually just added 2 small like cross braces at the bottom edge. Mm-hmm. And actually, if you look at my allow me to reintroduce myself video that I posted today, that's the part I'm assembling in that part of the video. So just 2 small triangles in each bottom corner, which stiffens it up a good deal. And the thing is all it's really holding is a stretch textile. So most of the force is forwards and backwards. So I put some pretty big cross braces on the back edge of the supports. If it's not strong enough, I'm 20 minutes away from his studio, so I'll go and shore it up a little bit. But it's pretty stiff.
Are the 2x4s this way or this way?
They are the weak way.
They're the weak way. Interesting.
But they don't sag, because like a 1.5 inch thick of wood over 6 feet is pretty solid.
I'm going to put it out there that I've seen them sagging when they're stacked.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I did a bit of research before making them. It's a pretty standard way of making these frames. Even big ones like this. It's not like I was really reinventing the wheel. So we'll see. We'll see if it stands up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine because you're just making rugs, like you said. It's
yeah.
The way you're not hanging on them.
Yeah. So the way you attach I think it's called monk's cloth to it is pretty interesting too. So I bought a bunch of rug tack strips, which you nail to the floor when you're laying down carpet, and you nail it around the perimeter, and the tacks are all angled, and you just make sure that the angles are facing out. Then you basically just stab on the cloth and stretch it around, and it's like a super easy way to get it set up quickly.
Yeah. How long should that last? Like the
tacks?
Yeah.
I mean,
do you think they would eventually wear away?
No, imagine a loose woven cloth. Like it's basically cotton. It's pretty, so you're not really like wearing down the spikes at all, unless you're like hammering on them with a hammer and bending them out of place.
Which, yeah, you shouldn't be hammering anywhere.
A takeaway also was like this. Dan is apparently he's been doing YouTube for like 9 years in various channels. So we filmed like an intro together, and he was filming there too. And it was cool. Like, and I've done this at High Caliber Camping with Grant, but just like working in the same room as like another YouTube creator, because we work very similarly. We're both like take advantage of every second. Like, you're setting that up, I'm going to go set up a shot here. Like, clearly can see the plot process playing out. And he's definitely got his process down.
It'd be very interesting to collab with someone in person.
That's something I really wish that when we collabed and when we did the High Caliber Camp, I wish I took advantage of everyone else around more. Like, getting more shots of the crowd, getting more, like, handing my camera over to people. Like, I have a GoPro. It's pretty easy. Point it at the thing. It's like...
Yeah, those handheld shots add so much, even if it's just like a little bit of movement. You don't need anything crazy.
Right. And that's where, like, on what I'll be talking about, I did a bunch of that with when my dad came to help. So I was able to use those shots, and they were way more interesting than the shots of, like, on a tripod.
It's funny you say that, because I remember once talking about, like, you can actually add that into tripod footage, like have the shake get added in afterwards of, like, someone holding the camera. And I mentioned that, and Grant's like, don't do that. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
But it really does add character.
But that's because the problem with it is it's not real. Like, the depth of changing is what's really interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't, like, you can zoom, but zooming isn't the same as moving forward.
Yeah. It's not, I think that's exactly, yeah.
You guys are just laying down all the things I'm talking about in this 10 filmmaking tips for makers video.
Yeah. Well, you should do like at least 11 tips.
Well, I mean, the things you said are both tips in it already.
Well, yeah, but I said a tip last time. Adam, what have you been working on this week?
I have just been working on trying to trying to learn new techniques for using the CNC and stuff, really. After Christmas, we really wanted to try and get this business going, so trying to work out how to get stuff done. And for the first time, I actually just took an SVG off Google and cut it out on the CNC. Didn't do any model making or anything. Like, I don't know why I was under the assumption that you just always had to make a model and then cut, like, a cut file. But it was so easy to just go into Easel, upload an SVG, and cut it out. And I cut out all these like present shapes out of 3mm MDF for my wife to take to work for all the kids to paint. Yeah. It was
nice.
Really
what
good.
were those shapes, by the way? I was trying to figure that out when I saw it.
They were presents with a bow on top.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Like a gift box.
Cool.
Yeah. It turned out all right. Although afterwards, my wife goes, she said to get rid of, like, because on the front of the box has, like, squares to, like, have, like, so it simulates, like, a ribbon. And she's like, can you get rid of those? And I got rid of it all, including the holes in the bow. And she's like, you could have left the holes in the bow. It's too late now.
Yeah. Well.
But yeah.
You know, kids have a good imagination. They'll figure it out.
It's really funny, though, because it's not the first time she's asked me to cut something out. And I'm like, it's such a process to, like, have to make a model and then make the cut file Like, it's not like you can just go in and 5 minutes later be cutting something. And then, like, I did it, and it took me like 2 minutes.
Sounds like
it was so simple. Well, that's what I kept saying. I'm like, I need a laser. But then it was actually really simple. Like, now that I know how to do that.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Well, a lot of people are probably going to say something along the lines of, you should have started before Christmas. But I actually think that's the wrong time to start a business.
For sure.
Because if you get big, you have no process in place. You have nothing. You know nothing. You will make all the mistakes. Right?
For sure.
And you're also competing with every other person. Whereas if you start it slowly, start building your process, get your, mention Vincent again, getting your like mailing process in place and packaging and all that.
That's what my mate sent me my mate sent me a picture of someone was asking on Facebook, like local to us, of someone that's selling like wooden cutouts of shapes to paint and stuff. And he's like, you need to do this for the business. And I'm like, honestly, like, I'm just not ready for that right now. Like, I don't have my processes down and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a great idea, but I'm just not ready for it.
Put it in the save it for next year category.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what have I been up to this week? I completed, finally, months later. It took longer to edit the video than it did to do the project. I completed my bowler restoration video. Ooh. I think I had 8 hours of... Thank you. I think I had 8 hours of footage, and I got it down to an 11-minute and 15-second video.
Nice.
And I think I actually had more... I had more footage than that, but there was a couple times where I left the camera on, so I'm discounting those, like, an hour of... like staring at a wall, right?
There's also a lot of things I noticed that you cut out that you didn't really need to add in. Like, say, for instance, you replaced the doors on the cabinets. But all you did was show cutting the wood. You didn't show building the actual cabinet doors, which I think was great because it wasn't really necessary. They're simple doors. People want to know, like, there's that many videos how to do it.
I made a whole video on that.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what was the other one? There was something else you did. Oh, like when you replaced the wood on the front of the fridge and then you put the black piece above the wood, you didn't show painting the black piece because you didn't need to.
Right.
Which I think, things like that would have saved a lot of time in the video.
Well, like so I painted the fridge and I have filming painting the fridge. I painted the furnace. I have filming painting that. I made a new frame around the furnace out of oak.
Yeah.
I don't have any foot. Like, I just went, none of that mattered. That's where I went with, like, I was channeling my inner Laura Kampf because I watched a bunch of her videos and I went, she's not showing everything. She pops in little tidbits here and there to make you, I know, okay, so you cut some wood, you screwed it together, now it's a door. Like, you got enough of it to capture how it was made.
Exactly my point, especially with painting the furnace and stuff. Like, if you needed to make up time, okay, fair enough, throw in the spray painting or whatever. But, like, if you see before and after, obviously you painted it. There's not, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't need to be there.
Right. Yeah.
It's also just an inherent thing to, like, longer projects making videos, right? It's like, it probably wasn't very fun for you to sand your bowler for tens of hours, and you got to cut that down. There's no other option. You have to make it look fun.
Right. Well, yeah, in sanding, I think there was 2 shots of sanding in the entire thing. And I definitely tens of hours across multiple years I've sanded this stupid thing. And I think I got I think it was shot it at 30 times, and then I also sped it up 4 times.
Yeah.
So what is it about this trailer that required it to be sanded so much?
So the original trailer came with what's called a gel coat, and it's basically applied when they make the mold. And it's like adhered to the fiberglass. And that's like the best way of doing a very solid, it'll look glossy, easy to maintain finish. Someone later painted it, and they didn't use the right type of paint, and they definitely didn't use primer. So I'm sure it looked great for a year, maybe 2, and then just went downhill from there. When I bought it, it looked flat and gross and was already flaking. So when you have flaking paint, you have to sand it. And so I wanted to make sure I sanded every single bit of that red paint off because I didn't want it interacting with the new paint I was putting on top.
You know, it's funny. It was so confusing watching you sanding the top and it coming up white. Because you expect when you look at it, you're like, oh, okay, so he sanded it off the white and it's got this red color, but like it was the opposite, and it was so weird.
Yeah, the original color is actually orange and white.
Yeah.
So I went back to the original only because I like the color orange.
Is that the first time in a video you've added in the timestamps?
No. Okay. So I used to do it on all my videos, and then I stopped because I was talking with FFD Restorations, and he really changed up his thing. He used to put like the detailed timestamps, and he found that actually made his view, like audience retention, go down because they kept jumping ahead to the next spot. And now he puts intro, restoration, outro. So he still has like 3 timestamps, but it's restoration. And so I thought that was I tried not doing them. I tried doing them. It didn't seem to change anything for me. And I wanted to try this one to see if it made a difference.
I think it depends on the project as well. Like, you get something like this where people want to see certain parts. Like, if they want to come back to the video and look at a certain part, I think it's helpful.
I think it makes a lot of sense for a tutorial, but for like an inspirational, artistic making video, not really any reason to add it.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. I thought as a tutorial, I actually went, well, I'm talking about it while I'm doing it, so they don't need the text. As an inspirational video, I went, well, if anyone's wondering what I'm doing, there's at least that little bit of text.
So I guess for my own experience, like when I'm watching an inspirational video, I want to be immersed. I don't want to have to think about the timeline or I want to watch the whole video in a complete experience. But how often do you Google a piece of information and you're like, all I need is like that 10 seconds where they tell me exactly what I need to do. And that's all I want. So in that case, for me, the chapters would make a lot of sense.
And that's actually what the chapters are used for. Google can pull from them. So if you're making how-to content, Google can read what you wrote and they'll actually put you on that. Because Google was already doing it, giving you that like, here's the part of the video I think you want to watch. And it was so bad. So now I'm directing you to the part, right?
Yeah.
Anyways,
the only negative, I don't know, what constructive criticism I have is I think you should have linked to those videos.
I did.
You have like on the actual you have the note at the top, but I never really noticed that. But actually, in the video, be like, if you want to see how I made this door in the side, there's a video.
I did. Did
you?
There's a playlist.
I didn't notice.
I linked to the whole playlist instead of them individually. But...
Well, the playlist, but I mean, like in the video, be like
in the description.
No, not in the description, in the actual video. So like when it cuts to you putting the door in, just be like, there's a video for this on my YouTube channel.
Gotcha.
Or like when you put the cabinet doors up, there's a video making these doors on my channel.
Gotcha. I don't know. Yeah. I don't really care that much. I get what you're saying, but anyways, the video's been doing awesome. I'm at 2,000 views, which is about 1,800 more views than normal at this point.
How is the backsplash attached? Because it looks like you just put it there and then just wedged a piece of wood in front of it.
So I didn't film any of it because I was getting really close to going camping and I didn't have a lot of time and it's really hard to show, but I basically, there's screws that go through and attach the cabinets to the wall and I just unscrewed them, drilled through the piece of wood and screwed them back together.
Okay.
But it's like really hard for some of the stuff. It was really, really difficult to come up with a way to show what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
So I just cut it out. Like I have a whole thing where I installed like the electrical and I just cut it all out. And go ahead, Morley.
When I did the first bookbinding video, that like drove me crazy trying to show stitching the book together. It was like the hardest thing to film and show in an engaging way and actually see what was being done. I was like blown away at Jimmy DiResta's bookbinding video that like he actually showed it in a way where you could tell it was happening. And that was a day where I just like broke down mid edit and was just like nothing is working.
Well, this is why at one point I was going to have like a 30-minute video, and I talked to the makers on Zoom having Discord. I talked on there, and I was like how long of a video does everyone think I should make? And I got the standard. It should be as long as it is, and like unhelpful. But I think you and Austin, Morley and Austin, kind of said like, I won't watch a long video because like I might watch a shorter video if I'm interested, but I'm not going to watch like a 30-minute video of this unless I'm restoring the longer it is, the more I have to be doing the thing.
If I see like double-digit timestamps, if we're talking 20, 30, 40 minutes, it's an immediate questioning, like, is this worth it? Whereas if it's an 8-minute video, that doesn't even cross my mind.
And that's so that crosses my mind on all of them. And I watch like my recommendation this week is a 2-hour long video. So I watch long videos on YouTube.
I watch a lot of 2-hour videos.
This channel is a pretty significant, amazing group of artists. So I would watch. I've watched multiple things by them that are 2 hours long.
You've watched stuff from them?
Yeah,
we'll talk get about there. It later. Huh. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. The other thing, so to round that out, unless you guys got anything more, that was a big, stupid, long project for me, so I'm happy to talk more about it. If you want to hear more, if you haven't heard enough about the Bowler project, you can listen to Making Our Way. I was on there, and we'll leave a link in the description to in the podcast notes, or the shotes, as some people like to call. I was on there, and I had a whole episode where that's all we talked about. So if you want to hear more about that, go there. The other thing I've been working on is Christmas ornaments, and every year I've been making little Christmas ornaments and having our son paint them, and it's been fun. Sorry, they're chatting back and forth in chat like jerks.
Talking about Greg behind his back.
Yeah, in front of me though. That's even more ridiculous. So I've been making Christmas ornaments, and it's been fun using the lathe. But it made me thinking about making presents versus buying handmade presents. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, I have a couple projects I'm planning on making this holiday season, which I'm super excited for. And that's one of the best things about making presents for people is I get excited about them usually in a way that I don't with store-bought presents. It makes it more fun for the giver. And it's funny, like I don't think I think about it from the receiver point of view very much, because I don't think people often get me handmade gifts. It's usually me giving someone a handmade gift. But one of Eden's friends this week made her a few gifts, like some kind of like skincare products, like homemade skincare products and candles and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is so nice. Like they took you open it, and you're like, they took the time to make this, especially with things like candles where like that really shines through. And it made me, I think, appreciate it a little more.
I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I don't think about the gifter, and I think more of the receiver, and I just think like the receiver's just going to think, I don't know. Like I feel like I feel like the receiver would never like a handmade gift. I don't know why I think that.
Do you like handmade gifts?
I don't know. I've never got one.
Oh, interesting.
So when you mentioned that, Morley, I try and think. I don't get like, other than Abby makes me handmade gifts, but I don't get handmade gifts from pretty much anyone else. And I think it's because people go, well, you can make things. Why would I make you something? You can make it.
Yeah.
And I wonder, but then I think about, so the Fools with Tools treasure trade, I participated again this year, and I got like this awesome thing from Franco. He made this like, it's like a little, it's an old camera bag that he put Flex Seal in it, so it can now be a cooler. And he made like a handle, like a saw blade into a knife, and it's like a little survival kit. It's really neat. But I go, I don't think I would ever have thought of making that.
Yeah.
But I love it. Like, it's something that I go, somebody puts time and energy into thinking about something that I might enjoy. And obviously hoped I would. Like, that's why they made it. And then I did. And it meant so much more to me that somebody tried to come up with something they thought I would like, rather than just buying me, here's the survival tool that Amazon recommended as the #1 survival gadget, right? Or something, like, because you like camping, you must want this.
It's the past 2 years for our anniversaries, Eden has made me comics about like that year in our relationship.
Oh, wow.
So 2 years ago it was all hand drawn, and then this year she printed out a bunch of Polaroid photos and then kind of like annotated them and drew around them. And they're hanging on my door over there. And I look at them, and it makes me so happy to look at them, because it makes me remember all the things that happened within a year and how we were thinking about those events at that time. Which is something that you never get with a store-bought gift, unless it's like so specific, like, oh, this is like, from that place we went together, and it's irreplaceable that way. But I think like it's so easy to buy stuff now, like, whereas you can do it like in a split second on your phone, that I think it makes handmade gifts even more, appealing. Like, I think the other thing too is, Grant, like, if you were to buy that camera bag, if you were to pay Franco for it, how much do you think that would cost?
It would both,
like, to pay him fairly for the amount of work that was
okay, to pay him fairly, or how much would someone like be at a, like, if he was making them and he was trying to sell them on a craft table, I could see it going for like, and this is the ridiculous part, they would undersell themselves at $75, right? And I would
say significantly more than that.
I was thinking like 200.
Yeah, right. I would say around $200.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. It's hard, but that's hard because it's not made for everyone.
So, but my point is, I think that's part of when someone makes you a gift like that and you see that, you're like, this, it almost feels like magical. It's like when people talk about going into an artist's workshop and they just have their own work hanging on the walls, and you're like, how can you have these $1,000 works just around? It's because for them, it's normal. And so when you get a handmade gift from someone, it's like you're getting a peek into, they're just kind of like giving you part of their creative output, which feels especially generous because it's valued very highly outside of gifts.
I think, thinking about it, that it depends. I think when someone makes something for you too, and it's personalized towards you, it would obviously have a lot more significant value as well. I've made my mate a couple of presents, and it's always personalized towards him, and he loves them. But
right,
I don't know.
Okay, now, are we? I want to switch it up a little bit and talk a little bit about making non-personalized presents. Because I agree 100%. I'm down. Like, you make someone personalize something, it's beautiful. But what about you just making? You see something, you go, "Oh, I could make that," and then you make it for the person instead of buying it. It's not personalized in any way. You just bought it.
I mean, I was even thinking about that category with the original question, like thinking back to High Caliber Camp and when people were making just batches of stuff for the trade, and every one of those things that were handmade felt like so special, because like for me, it doesn't matter so much that it's personalized. Like, if it has my name embossed into it, cool. But the fact that person took the time and the attention and the care to like make a high quality thing is, I feel like, the bigger thing. Like for one example, which I think is kind of cool, is this year Eden is making vanilla extract as her like batch out gifts that she's giving all our friends this year. And like packaging it in like a nice bottle. It's very simple to make. Life hack. If you buy vanilla beans and soak them in vodka, that's a really like cost effective way to make vanilla extract, and it's really expensive if you buy it.
Does it make it alcoholic?
No, vanilla extract is vanilla distilled in alcohol. That's what it is when you buy it from the store. Oh. So you can make it very easily on your own.
And it's really important right now because they were going vanilla prices, extract prices were going stupidly high at the start of the pandemic with all the people baking.
When I said personalized, I didn't necessarily mean like your name engraved in it. I more meant of like, say the camera bag had the spanner because Grant likes cars, and like the saw blade because he works with wood and stuff. That's what I mean by personalized. But what I was going to say is what Morley was saying. For instance, Grant, with the clipboards for Maker Camp, if you just bought some $3 clipboards and handed them out, it would be like, what the hell is this? But because you took the effort to make them, there's something there.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I guess that's true. And
so I think it's a way to make something bland more special.
Yeah, and like clipboards aren't a new idea. Even if I think miniatures clipboards might be slightly new, you can buy miniatures clipboards, right?
But it could be the same with anything. Like you buy someone a pen for their birthday, or you make them a pen. There's a big difference there between the board. Like, so you've made the present better because you made it.
What if I commission a pen? Because I don't have the skills to make that thing, but I tell them what I want and how I want it.
I think that's still something because you've gone to the effort to try and make it. Like you've gone to the effort to find something more custom as opposed to just buying something from a shop.
Yeah. If we title this episode Maker Gift Ideas, we're going to get 1 million downloads. I swear I logged onto YouTube one day last week and 6 videos in the same day were all titled like gift ideas if you're a maker. It was, I don't know why it was this one particular day, but it was ridiculous.
Every year Bourbon Moth does a video on it.
Right. And every year they recommend different tools and stuff. Yeah. And I think the whole point I'm trying to get across is I don't want another tool unless it's like a custom commissioned blacksmith hammer if I were good to get into blacksmithing, or like an engraved hand plane. Yes, I want that. Like I want someone to have gone the extra mile to get something for me. I can go out and buy any like Morley said, 2 clicks and I can have everything I want at my door tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly what I was saying. Sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's the putting in the extra effort is what makes it special. Like you've gone to the extra effort to find someone to make that custom thing. You've put in the extra effort to make it yourself. You know what I mean? Like everyone can go buy something online, but to actually try and find someone to make what you want is so much more effort and makes it that much more special.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I like the gift giving philosophy of, gift should be something you want, not something you need. If I need a thing, like I'm not going to ask for that thing. I might ask for the money so I can pick out the thing myself. But like, it's just that's a functional gift at a certain point.
Yeah.
And most things I would buy retail are functional. Like I guess it's also because I'm not a very materialistic person that way, in that like I don't buy like nice clothing or accessories like that. Like there aren't a lot of I don't have a lot of wants that aren't very functional, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so many of the things I would buy for myself, I wouldn't really want as gifts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I want to push on that a bit. So say Grant, for instance, last episode or the episode before, we both said that we want belt sanders eventually. Mm-hmm. If Abby bought you a drum sander, if Abby bought you a drum sander for Christmas, how would that make you feel? Like, does that, because that's not a need, that's a want. You don't need a drum sander, you want one.
So Abby, for my birthday this year, got me a cordless random orbit sander. And for Christmas last year, she got me a belt sander. But so we'll go with the random orbit sander because I already had one. I had one that plugged into the wall, and I said I'm never going to buy it. I know I'm not going to buy it because I already got one. So I would need. There's nothing like that one would have to break for me to even consider it. So that was a want, and I love it. Right, but it's not as personalized as like every year, much like Eden and Morley. Abby makes a collage of pictures, and every year it's a different collage of in a different way of our year together. Kind of painting the picture of our year together in pictures, painting the I don't know whatever, and I love those. Like the first time she gave me one, I think I cried. Just because it was like such a wonderful.
It means something.
It meant so much more than anything else.
Yeah.
But that being said, there's things that people buy me, like T-shirts that I hold on to until they literally disappear because someone bought it for me.
Yeah.
I also don't want to poo-poo on store-bought gifts. I've gotten some great store-bought gifts, and some people are really good at choosing gifts. My mom is really good at that, for example. Like, she's really good at anticipating something I might want but didn't think I wanted. Like getting us nice sheets for our apartment. Never something I would buy for myself. And it's great that she got it for us. And I think a lot of people have that as a very specific skill. But I think a lot of people also are not good at that. I don't know. I don't know how I am as a gift giver. I think I am thoughtful about it, but
I think it depends on the person, on the receiver as well. Like every time Grant makes a video on making something for his wife for their anniversary and stuff, all I think is like, if I made that for my wife, she'd be like, "What the hell is this?"
Like she wouldn't want it.
She's not the kind of person that enjoys that.
I
don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is giving experiences is something that I think I want to get more into. And I started to, and then the pandemic happened, but is instead of giving like a gift of here's another, pot and pan set because the old ones are slightly worn, right? Like who cares? If you want a new pot and pan set, go and buy it. But if you give someone like a concert or a comedy show, like I remember, like we went and saw Amy Schumer, Abby and I, for our anniversary. I bought tickets to go see Amy Schumer. Great. We had a great time at that show, right? It's the type of thing that I know we wouldn't buy, and it also doesn't take up any space.
Yeah.
It's also like it's a gift that keeps on giving in a way, because when someone gives you an experience, it's so exciting when you figure out that in like 2 weeks or a month or something, you're going to go do this thing, and then you're excited leading up to it. So it really you really get your money's worth when you give someone an experience.
Right. Especially if it's something that they may not have, done on their own. Right?
Yeah.
Like you might buy them tickets to an art show that they may not have gone to otherwise.
And that's exactly it. That's why I really like the philosophy of like give someone something they didn't know they wanted or they wouldn't get themselves, because you're exposing someone to new experiences. And that's the fun thing about gifts. It's like you're taking someone out of their path, and it feels special. I saw this adorable TikTok last night of like a girl giving her 96-year-old grandma tickets, like a weekend in New York City and a weekend to go see the Rockettes, because she like loved it as a kid. And like her reaction was, it kind of made me a little sad because I was watching it. I was like, her reaction was so adorable and loving. But then I was also thinking, I was like, oh, there's no way the experience is going to live up to that reaction. Like that moment there is like the best part of the gift.
Well, you brought me up and brought me down all at the same time there.
Not to say that the rest of it isn't good, but I think that's like the best part when I like being surprised too. I know not everyone likes being surprised. Avocado?
You don't know that video? Little kid gets an avocado for Christmas, and he's so happy for it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Like he's like literally so appreciative of it.
A part of
Sometimes
me
you just need to know that someone gives you something.
Right. A part of me wants to get away from Christmas and presents and all that. And this, because I don't want to threaten my kid over time that he has to be good or else he's not going to get any presents. Like, it's such an empty threat. Because there's my son's never going to. Yeah, he's never going to be bad enough that he's not going to get Christmas presents.
Yeah.
Like he's just not I don't know, just and then I think about it and I go, if he's being really good or if he's really bored, why not give him a present right now? Like, why save them all up and then they're an explosion on the day and half the gifts are not played with because a more exciting gift got given. Right? Whereas
I had a friend growing up, he was a Jehovah's Witness, and they don't celebrate Christmas or birthdays or anything. So they just get presents throughout the year. Like if they do something good, they get a present. So interesting.
Yeah.
I always find. So I didn't celebrate Christmas growing up because I'm Jewish and we celebrated Hanukkah, but I still had the same experiences of getting presents and getting excited for them. There's no part of Judaism or Hanukkah which is if you're not good, you're not going to get presents. It's kind of just, your parents are giving you the presents. There's no mythical creature who might be giving them to you. There's no Hanukkah monster. But something I would like to do with my own kids is try to impress into them how good it feels to give a gift at a young age. Because I think in Western culture, kids are so into getting presents and they're brought up that way and conditioned that way, but you only learn as an adult how good it feels to give gifts. And as a kid, that sounds like a platitude, but it's true once you get older.
Especially once you have kids. Watching your kids open presents is, to me, so much more than me opening my own present. I would rather watch my kids open presents all day than open one present.
And this is why I think giving them over time is so much better, because you get I get almost nothing out of the kids ripping through all the presents as quickly as possible to see what they got.
Yeah.
Right? Or they get to I remember when we opened up our Nintendo 64, the other presents didn't matter.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to have that was our very first game system. Was a Nintendo 64. Before that, we were not allowed to. I grew up, Nintendos existed. Super Nintendos then got released. Weren't allowed it. Sega, nothing. No, sorry. We got Nintendo 64. It blew our minds. And I just remember, the rest of them didn't matter. We literally raced to the TV to plug it in and start playing. So that was great, but the rest of the presents didn't matter. And I don't want to... I don't know. I'm sure as my parents would have preferred to see us open up all the presents and waiting till Christmas. My mother is coming tomorrow and she's probably going to be bringing presents, or even if she's not, whatever. But I'm going to give her a present and she's going to tell me, oh no, I have to wait. I have to wait until Christmas to open this. And I'm like, but then if you wait, I don't get to see you. You're here now. Right?
Yeah.
You're here for a week.
That.
And then you're going to take this present back and you're going to open it up on Christmas Day and go, oh, what a wonderful present. I'm like, right, and I missed that.
Yeah.
So this date is meaningless to me.
I also hate opening presents in front of people, because if you don't like it...
Yeah, I do too. I never know how fast to do it.
I never know how to act and how to respond to what I get.
I'm with you.
Well, on that note, I think you should be thankful when you open up, no matter what. But I want to be thankful and thank our Patreon supporters, especially the F-Clamp level, Brent Jarvis from Clean Cut Woodworking and Vincent Ferrari from Handmade by Vincent Ferrari and Because We Make. If you want some handmade gifts, you can get them from Vincent Ferrari. It's probably too late to get them for Christmas. If you want some tools, you can get them from Brent from Clean Cut Woodworking. But if you want to support us and give us the gift of making this podcast and feeling good, I don't know where to go with this, but you can support us by going to patreon.com/clamp, and you'll get access to a pre-show, which if you're listening here, and we had an actual really good pre-show this time. So if you don't normally listen to the pre-show, jump back and listen to it. You also get access to the after show where we continue the conversation and sometimes talk about secret stuff. And you get the gift of a handmade stamp from the one and only Morley Court. Morley Court.
Court?
And it is Court. And it is they're numbered. So everyone who supports us, stamped keychain, or you could use it as a luggage tag. You can do whatever you want with it.
You said a handmade stamp.
I think 2 more people will be number 20. We just sent out 18. So if anyone wants to be lucky number 20, you'll have to wait until another person gets it, and then you can be number 20.
Well, no, or you can get you and your wife to support.
There you go.
Or you and your partner. On that note, let's go into Clampmendations.
Clampmendations!
I'm going to start it off this week by recommending everyone go watch Firebringer by Team Star Kid. It's a musical theater, as we mentioned earlier, but it has one of the funniest songs I've ever seen, and I've been seeing it on for a while, and I finally went and watched the entire thing, but it's I Don't Really Want to Work Today. And it's an hilarious song about these cave people trying to get a day off. It's pretty early on in the thing, or you can just look up I Don't Really Want to Work Today, and it's hilarious. Everyone should go watch it. It's funny. It's awesome.
Grant, have you seen a Harry Potter musical?
I have not yet. I've never read Harry Potter.
God.
I've never seen the Harry Potter movies. Okay. I don't know anything about Harry Potter other than it's a thing.
So you might not appreciate it very much, but I guess I'll say for the listeners, for anyone who's a Harry Potter fan, the same production company, Star Kid, many years ago, when I was in middle school, put out a musical called A Harry Potter Musical. And it's a comedy musical based on Harry Potter. I think it was one of their first productions. And Darren Criss is in it. I don't know if he's still with Team Star Kid, but he's a relatively famous actor now. And I think that's kind of how he got his start. And it is hilarious and pretty good songs as well. It was one of I had an iPod video at the time, and it was the only video I had downloaded on it. I had, because it was in parts. It was on YouTube. So I had part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. And I would just always watch a Harry Potter musical. It is absolutely fantastic.
I think the entire thing is now available as a single video. So you don't have to watch. Yeah, because
they got rid of that 10-minute limit.
Yeah.
And they came out with a sequel called the Harry Potter sequel, which is also really good. It's cool because it kind of makes a new plot from Harry Potter, combines some of the stories together. The second one diverts even more, but they're really, really good.
Yeah. They've got tons of great adjacent things. So the next one I'm watching is Twisted. It's a story of a royal vizier. It's a story of Jafar from Aladdin, told from his perspective as if he's the good guy in the story. And it's really funny. And the interesting part is that the musical theater at the college that I can see from my front door is putting on a rendition of this musical. So it's really cool. You can actually now apparently get all these different things and license them to put on your own show, which I think is awesome. And one day when there's no pandemic and the kids are old enough to be babysat for an extended period of time, we will be heading out to something like this because I think it'll be fun.
Nice. It's funny. I guess most people don't think about it very often, but that's how most, shows or writers end up making a living is they license it out and other people perform it. It's not like a movie where people just keep buying it. You have to have other people put it on.
And this is Firebringer was actually a Kickstarter project. It was funded on Kickstarter. based on obviously the fame of a Harry Potter musical and their other stuff. And then on top of that, it's got 4 million views on YouTube. So it's likely made them a little bit of money that way. Because I can tell you from my 2,000 views, that's at least $8. So I'll do the math there. That's $4 per 1,000 views. They're doing good.
Nice.
Potentially.
So speaking of Harry Potter, last year, just around this time, I think, Eden and I were reading the whole Harry Potter series out loud to each other, which was awesome. Like, we both had read it independently as kids, and so we kind of got to re-experience the magic together as adults. And it was great. And then at a certain point, we were like, maybe by the time we reach the last book, the pandemic will be over, because we started reading it around the beginning of the pandemic, and that didn't happen. And we didn't read a book together again for a while. We started a nonfiction book, a Jane Jacobs book, and Jane Jacobs is this very interesting urban planner, very involved in Toronto. If you want to learn about her, I'll link her in the show notes. But it just didn't hit the same as like a fantasy adventure book. So Eden recently bought a book with the express purpose of reading it together, and it's Zorro by Isabel Alend. Like, Zorro is an old story, but this version, which was written in 2005, is, I think, kind of an origin story about Zorro. We're only about like 60 pages in, but it's really good, and it really hits well as like an out loud read book. And, you know, if you don't know the story of Zorro, you know, it takes place in like between Mexico and California, sort of like superhero, not really superhero, but vigilante origin story. And it's great. I don't know a ton about it yet because I didn't really know about it before Eden got it, but it's like great adventure. It's really beautifully written. It's written in this really cool, like, I think almost the whole thing is third person. It's like almost like someone is telling a story. There's very little dialogue. And so then they'll be like, and then 3 years older, these people were reunited. So it kind of reads like a fable in that way, which is really nice to read aloud. So if you're looking for a book to read with someone, Zorro by Isabel Alend, I would definitely recommend.
I think it takes part in Spain, not Mexico.
Well, the part we're reading right now takes place in California and Mexico, but they're Spanish colonizers.
Yes, and then they go back
like
to Spain.
The late 1700s. Okay, so spoiler, cool. Grant, thanks.
Do you not know Zorro's story? Come on.
I think I've only seen the that movie that came out in like the 2000s, so that's all I know about Zorro.
The one where they had a white person play a native person, because that's what they always do. Anyways, sorry. Go ahead. Go. Don't mind me. Go ahead.
I was muted, but I also wanted to say on that note, it's this book does very well in actually being true to its native origins, and it's very super interesting hearing about all of the customs and the history of the tribes around there. So it's also like really interesting in that respect.
Well, sounds interesting. I'll ask for it for Christmas.
Well, I actually changed my Clampmendation this week because of what Grant was talking about. So I'm going to Clampmendate a movie called 8-Bit Christmas. It has Neil Patrick Harris in it, and it's him telling his now daughter, like not in real life, his daughter in the movie, his story of when he was a kid trying to get an original Nintendo when it first came out. And it's interesting because the Nintendo came out and then like the whole community decided to ban them because they were violent or something like that. And it's oh, hello.
Yeah. Oh, we got kids joining again. Well, that's really interesting. I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's on HBO, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, every week we do one of two things to end the podcast. We either have Adam give us an Australian word of the week, or if we have a review, we give Morley the chance to read a review in a random accent. Or not random, picked by the reviewer. And on that note, it's time for Morley reading a review.
Okay, so I did my homework this time, and I'm still scared.
Don't tell people what the accent is until
it's
the
gonna
end.
be a hard one. It's a 5-star review. All right, here we go. Clamp is an inspiring podcast hosted by 3 lovely and supporting guys. They cover a wide range of topics like making art, music, being organized, and mental health. Not only are they talking very openly about... Oh, I slipped into British a little bit there. Not only are they talking... slip back into British. Very openly about what is going on in their lives, but support others by giving very helpful tips, mentions, and shout-outs. What separates Clamp from other podcasts in their niche is the very generalist approach and the super broad spectrum of topics they cover. If you aren't an insect, I feel like 2 people have said that. If you aren't an insect, and I have no idea what they're referring to. And into listening to uplifting podcasts, you should definitely give it a try. And then he says, at Morley, if you're going to read this, please do it with an Austrian accent. And then in all caps, no German, which scared me because my original Austrian inclination was to go full German. And then he says, P.S. I'm assuming this I don't think Austrian is a language. I think they speak German. Aufkatzschwaf. No idea what that means. I think Grant's about to Google Translate. Let's see, Grant.
Oh, you didn't sound angry, so I'm going to say that's not German.
Yeah, but Daniel doesn't sound... So this is from... that
was a joke.
I'm assuming Daniel Ulais from Multi-Awesome Studio. And he's like a very mellow-sounding guy, in my opinion.
It's an Austrian slang word for the tail of a squirrel, often used to proof if someone was Austrian because Germans couldn't pronounce it.
So, yeah, like I mentioned, I was watching some Austrian accent videos, and I think watching those videos made this harder than if I just hadn't. Because this video is like every word sounds different. So if it sounded stilted, that's why. So do you guys know anything about this whole if you aren't an insect thing? I feel like 2 people have said this.
I thought it was a misspelling.
Grant, any ideas?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Nothing.
If anyone knows this joke that we're not a part of, let us know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for the review. It was very nice, and so nice. It was like almost a gift, really. So if you want Morley to read a review in any accent of your choosing, and he will butcher them all, or not all of them. Sometimes he does a good job. Write us a review. If you put it on anything other than Apple, send us a message, because Apple is the only one that really, for some reason, we can get the reviews easily through a review aggregator. Everywhere else kind of goes into the ether unless I happen to check it. So if you've written us a review and we haven't read it on air, send me a message and we'll do it.
Yeah, we're currently up to date as far as we know. So,
as far as we know, I want to thank TF Turning for the new theme song. So that was an exciting. Yeah, we're going to rock out with a new TF Turning theme song now that we're 80 some odd episodes in. Squad. I want to munch.
Squad. Okay, yeah. Enough podcast with a podcast.
Enough podcast and a podcast references. Anyways, if you want to find us, you can find us all by searching Clamp on your podcast provider, but that's how you already got here. You can search us on Instagram, find the Clampstagram. You can find us on ClampTube, and I think we got a Clamp Editor and a Clamp book out there. Just
it's like a scavenger
search.
Hunt.
Yeah, it's a scavenger. It really is. It's a scavenger hunt. If you can find us there, you can find anyone, anywhere. You're an investigator. And until next time, cheers and have a great day.
See you.
Bye.
Bye. Three, 2, 1. Fucking hell.
I was going to mute, and I was like, no.
Hello and welcome to Clamp, the creating... Oh, I'm going to do that again. Way to end a pre-show.